You're listening to The Signal Daily. Hi, I'm Shaurbari, your host for The Signal Daily podcast. This is the episode for 10th June 2024. First, we talk about PM Modi's swearing-in ceremony and which MPs made it to the final cut. We also dive into the recently concluded EU parliamentary elections and what's at stake. For the main segment, a deep dive into cricket's American aspirations. Stay tuned till the end of this episode. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is returning for the third straight term, flanked by two crucial NDA allies, the TDP and the JDU. Although the BJP displayed a weaker performance in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, PM Modi is on his hat-trick journey. His swearing-in ceremony took place on 9th June in the presence of foreign leaders from Sri Lanka, Maldives, Seychelles, Bangladesh, Mauritius, Nepal and Bhutan. Other than PM Modi, the spotlight has also been on which MPs from the NDA will form the new cabinet and his council of ministers. Among the new cabinet ministers were some usual suspects such as Rajnath Singh, Amit Shah and Nirmala Sitharaman. Former Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan and BJP President JP Nadda are two new additions. And some of the new faces include several MPs from the NDA allies such as TDP's Ram Mohan Naidu and Pemasani Chandrasekhar and JDS's HD Kumaraswamy. But since we're talking about elections, let me also draw your attention to the recently concluded EU elections. Millions of European and 20 countries have voted to elect members of the European Parliament for the past 4 days. And let me tell you that this will be one crucial election that sets the tone on the bloc's policies on a lot of pertinent issues. I mean, the European Parliament has enough political clout to block or amend legislation as the only directly elected EU institution. And EU legislators also have the authority to sanction the EU budget. Additionally, they have the power to veto appointments within the EU Commission. Also, do bear in mind that this is also a continent that has been witnessing a lot of polarizing politics, much like India, owing to issues like anti-migration, high inflation, and generally the state of struggling economies in European states. The war in Ukraine and Gaza is also adding more fuel to the fire as citizens align themselves on different sides of this ongoing conflict. In the middle of this, there is a discernible populist wave indicating a potential victory for the right wing as the opinion polls and exit polls are forecasting. A hard turn away from left-leaning Socialists and Democrats party is likely to have consequences on a range of issues, starting with its stance on Russia, climate and migration. As reports point out, there is a fear of quote-unquote climate backlash as Europe also witnessed some of the biggest farmer protests against some of the new environmental regulations along with the removal of subsidies and cheap agricultural imports, since these protests are also believed to have swayed the elections in a big way. This election result will also determine the EU's industrial policies going forward as Europe tries to protect its clean tech industry from cheap Chinese imports. And by the way, this is morphing into a full-blown geopolitical rivalry. Further, an article in Politico also points out that the new crop of legislators will face the tough job of ensuring that the slew of bills passed in the last 5 years to regulate fake news, artificial intelligence, and big tech are properly implemented. So that was a little peek into what is at stake. But what will Europe vote for? We'll find out soon. And now for a second segment, we are going to bring you deep dives on stories from the world of technology, business, policy, and anything that leaves you with food for thought. Most Americans, I believe, would not even know that they have a national cricket team. That team, obscure it might be, defeated Pakistan last week, by the way. And might I add that this is also the first time that the United States is co-hosting the annual Men's Cricket World Cup. Couple the two events and it thrust upon us the same old questions. Could cricket finally win over the supremely disinterested American audiences? Or, if you like it framed this way, is the US ready for cricket's contained frenzy? The answer to both questions, if you ask us, is a lukewarm maybe. So let's get into it. Boosters of cricket in the States cite the presence of a thriving South Asian community, and for good reason. Because American Indians in particular are more loaded than the Jewish Americans and Japanese. In fact, Indians have a per capita income higher than any demographic per the US Census. So for the very least, cricket in America can count on the support of a very tiny but very elite audience. The launch of an IPL like T20 League last year was also moderately successful. The Major League Cricket, or the MLC, raked in $8 million in revenue in its debut year. But for cricket to march ahead and seduce non-Desi Americans, some gaps will have to be filled first. I mean, the big question is that of infrastructure, then there's a bigger question of talent, but the biggest question by far is that of culture. For one, the United States doesn't even have cricket stadiums. I mean, even the World Cup matches are being played at repurposed baseball stadiums. Venkat Anand, our in-house expert of all things sports, wrote in the latest edition of the playbook, and I'm reading it out, quote, "Venues that are purpose-built for cricket aren't readily available in the country. Even if they are, the lack of ready turf pitches is also a concern," end quote. So stakeholders in the USC cricket will have to pour time and money wooing cities across the country to dedicate some venues and land for cricket, as they do for football and other games. And that will naturally take a lot of time, at least a decade, give or take. Second, you can't sell a sport to a country with imported talent. You'll have to support and nurture talent at the grassroots. So while having young cricketers move to the US from India is giving American cricket a boost in the arm, it can't be the only way to fill the teams. An expert told CNN, and I quote, "If it's built purely on temporary immigrant talent, then it only takes one big pandemic or global downturn or anti-immigration government to crush the model," end quote. Now, inspiring local players to join cricket is the hardest of all and would require sustained efforts. Community and school cricket is still missing in the States, and for the time being, cricket is not being played at college levels either. A cultural reset is needed, and cricket boosters are pinning their hopes on the Olympics. So cricket will be a medal-winning game in the 2024 Paris Olympics, and that will be broadcast across televisions in the States. Now, it may bring the bat and ball game into the American consciousness, or maybe not. Meanwhile, India is set to play against Pakistan in a temporary stadium in Long Island in New York. By the time you listen to this podcast, we might have a winner. American audiences, however, might not pay much heed. It's still time for cricket to realize its great American dream. If you like listening to The Signal Daily, please show some support. Rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'd love to hear what you have to say about this podcast. So feel free to shoot an email at hello@thesignal.co. This episode was researched, written and produced by me, Shorbari, and Anup Sinwal. Edited by Dinesh Narayanan. Mastered and mixed by Yash Hirve. You can catch this podcast every morning on Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime Music, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We are thesignal.co on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter.